1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Down, just down a little bit, down a little bit, down a little bit, down a little bit. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be right here. Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody like jumped right there. Sorry, it's all good. It's all good. Everybody relax. It's going to be fun. My name is Sean Fisher. I'm the pastor and teacher here at Bloomfield Congregational Church, and it's an absolute blessing to have you here today. When I was working with my good friend Ruth Ann Marchetti and Dr. John Capadona, they kept saying thank you for using this space, and I'm going to take a little moment of indulgence here because I can and I have the mic and only he can turn me off. But the fact is that with a group like this, I think this is important. While a lot of people see this place as they drive by as an icon of Bloomfield, and it certainly is, this is a living, breathing place. Over 100 to 150 people come in 7 days a week to do one thing or another for public service or to help people in this community, and it is not just a church space. No matter who you are, no matter what your faith background is, whether you have one or not, you are welcome, wanted here. In addition to that, the history of a place like this, when the church, this is the third building from this congregation that was established in 1738, as many of you know. But this, some of us call a sanctuary, right? But this is also called the meeting house. Originally called the meeting house because when the church was established, this was the place that people gathered, not just for religious, but for civic gatherings and conversations. And so we keep that tradition up. So when someone like Ruth Ann or Dr. John call and say, hey, thank you for this, I'm like, we're just keeping up the tradition that has been around for 286 plus years. So if you have something you want to have coming on or going on, please let us know because this place is going on constantly. But in addition to that, that is important because I don't know if any of you have felt the division that's going on in the world, in the country, in the community right now. Yeah. What you are doing now is an act of civil disobedience. Right? We take it for granted here, but in a lot of the world, this would be an act of civil disobedience, just coming together to listen to a concert, coming together to listen to each other, to talk to each other, to have a group of multi-generational folks coming just to play the piano or talk. We need more of this in this town of Bloomfield right now. We need this in the greater Hartford area. We need this in the country. We need this in the world. So thank you for being here. Keep this up, and if there's anything that we can do to support that, to keep building those connective tissues and that understanding that we are not just a series of individuals, but together are greater than the individual me or I, then you are always welcome here, and you will always have a place here to help make that happen. So enjoy the concert, and I hand it over to my good friend, Ruth Ann.
Advice regularly. But the other thing is, Ron Marchetti, my wonderful husband over there, has programs, and if you didn't get one, just raise your hand and he'll bring it to you. It has the program on it that Greg went to the trouble of creating, and Staples went to the trouble of printing for us. So if you didn't get a program, please let us know. The other thing I want to say is welcome. I can't say better than what Sean said, but I want to welcome all of you. And especially on a day like today, it would be very tempting to be outside. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. And especially if you haven't got your bulbs in yet or anything like that. Today's one of those days, so thanks for being here. I also want to say thank you to First Church and to Sean, who I consider Pastor Sean Fisher one of the people in the town that we would call a partner in everything good. And so I want to say thank you very much for that. I also want to tell you that after this, we will have a party because it's the 75th anniversary of Wintonbury Historical Society. And I was joking before with my friends in the back that it isn't really an anniversary unless you have a party. So we will have cake and we will have coffee, we'll have water, we have gluten-free cake just in case. We're really ready for a celebration. And while you're in the community room, you'll notice that there's looks like Thanksgiving food around, and that's because the church community is busy preparing baskets for people in Bloomfield who probably won't have a very wonderful Thanksgiving without this. So I'm happy to say we'll be part of something good we're sharing, literally sharing the room with people who are doing good things. But I do want to say a little bit about history, and it's kind of embarrassing because I'm a newcomer to town, and so what I'm telling you I have to read because I'm learning it as I go. But I think it's important to tell you that the Wintonbury Historical Society of Bloomfield was founded in 1949, and that's 75 years ago, and I know because I'm 76 and my birthday was 1948. So I'm good at keeping track of that. And through the effort of Dr. Eugene Bester and Jack Hoover, with the aid of a 1910 bequest left by town resident Levi E. Latimer, among the objectives of the society are, and I quote, collection and preservation of historical records, identification, preservation, and marking of buildings and locations of historic interest, reporting of current history, and dissemination of information per the bylaws of the Wintonbury Historical Society, Incorporated. Achievements of the society have included the moving and restoration of the 1796 Old Farm School. And I will talk to you a little bit more about that later because that's a huge project for us. And if you haven't been to the 1796 Old Farm School, you must go because it's one of the only brick buildings of that vintage, brick school buildings around. We're fortunate to have it. It's also, what did I do there?
No, you're good.
You do fabulous. Thank you.
Roll credit.
It's also one of the things to know about it is that it's been moved, and we were fortunate because the state was ready to knock it down. It used to be in a different spot. You'll have to come to the Historical Society to learn more, or I'll be here all day. But the society did work together to get the school moved. The society at that point worked very hard to earn the money to take care of the moving of it and then the stabilizing of it. It also put that building on the National Register of Historic Places. It's also it's the oldest municipal building in our town, so it's important to Bloomfield. So aside from the listing of the Old Farm School, we also have the Southwest District School that's over on the west side of town, the Captain Oliver Philly House. The Historical Society worked very hard to preserve and keep that building from falling apart, and it too is on the register and it was saved. So it was a huge, huge effort. I wasn't here when they did it, but it was a remarkable effort on their part. So the Historical Society is a vital organization in the town of Bloomfield. It's dedicated to preserving its history from 1640. And when, as part of Windsor, it had its first settlement at Messenger's Farm, becoming Wintonbury Parish in 1734, incorporated as the town of Bloomfield in 1835, and on into the 21st century, its efforts are for the benefit of its current and future citizens and as an important part of Connecticut's history. So then in 1910, Levi Latimer, a Bloomfield resident, left the sum of $720 to the Prosser Library for the express purpose of forming a historical society. However, it was not until 1949 when residents Eugene Bester and Jack Hoover of the Travelers actually organized a society which has continued and grown from a modest beginning of 32 members to now we have over 140. Excuse me. I told you I had to read, I'm sorry. I want you to know that our meetings are open, and we've been very fortunate at the town center in the leisure services has allowed us to have meetings there, and I've seen some of you at those meetings, and we had some rousing meetings. We'll have some more. Next, in December, fortunately, First Church will host us again. We'll have the Bloomfield Gospel Choir here on the 17th of December. But we do have 5 programs a year. During the winter, we tend to Zoom because we worry about people gathering in the winter and spreading all sorts of germs. But I want you to know that some of the recent society accomplishments are, this is the second year that we've worked with the 7th graders from Carmen Aires School to do Bloomfield history, and the teachers there have been terrific, and the kids are enthusiastic and really learning about the town. Wintonbury Historical Society paid for a new roof on the Southwest District School. It was not exciting money, but a roof is a roof and it's needed, and we did it. That also, we were awarded a grant from the Bloomfield Greater Together Community Fund and the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. And that grant was a grant for $8,000, which we've used to repair ceiling damage on the old farm school. The State Historic Restoration Society, awarded the State Historic, what am I doing? State Historic Society has awarded Historic Restoration Fund to repair the old farm school, and that's where we're getting to the hard work, which is ours is a matching grant. We have collected money from board members, bless them, and we've started to raise some money, but we will need more money in the future in order to get the matching monies for the grant. And that'll be, our theory is 75 to 75. So we're hoping to raise $75,000 to celebrate our 75th anniversary. But the more important part is that we are together. We do have a town that bumps along the way, making mistakes here and there, just like those of us who are human. And it's our hope that we will stay together, learn together, and celebrate our history. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Capadonna, our president. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth Ann. Thanks, Reverend Fisher. Thanks for having us. And every time we get into this sanctuary, it makes everybody want to convert. It is such a beautiful. And I have to tell you, Sean Fisher really makes us feel welcome. It means everything that he says about bringing us and encouraging us to meet here. I'd like to have our meetings here regularly, if possible. Today we have a special treat with all these talented musicians from art and their leader, Greg Bavel, just a wonderful musician who's accompanying them, leading them, and he's celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Bloomfield's Wintonbury Historical Society. We're also celebrating my 75th anniversary. No, I don't look it, but this is it. And you should come up and see. Check out the cool things that happened in 1949. Harry Truman was president. Can you imagine? Really fun, interesting things. My daughter could be that this year for my birthday. I just want to say a little bit about Greg Bavel. He's a member of the piano faculty at the Hart School, and where he is the coordinator of the piano keyboard area. Now, he told me what that meant once, because Sean, Greg, was my piano teacher for a while. I didn't last that long. You have to have a certain amount of talent for that. I didn't make the cut, but he's wonderful, and I have to say, I probably stayed with Greg for 2 years, and I still play the same 5 songs that he taught me. Not well, but he's a wonderful guy, and just a wonderful musician listening to him. He holds a bachelor's degree in music education from IU, from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where he majored in both piano and violin. He later received a master's of music degree in piano performance from the Hart School. And Greg has performed and given clinics in Pennsylvania, Iowa, Massachusetts, Connecticut, as well as Poland and the Slovak Republic. You're in for a treat. And I walked in on rehearsals. These guys are really something. Without further ado, Graham, please take it away.
Well, this is quite an honor to be part of this. I say that in many dimensions, just to be a part of something that is that brings together the community, as Sean was saying, and just to have all these students that I have the wonderful honor of teaching. Now, I'm teaching them piano. I would never ask them to come play the piano. That's one of those courses that every one of them has to take no matter what their major is. But they're good students, they're solid students. Some are former students. I brought in some former students as well. And we're, 1949 was pretty, there was a lot going on in 1949. So I'm going to give you a little bit of what was happening. It was the year of the founding of the NATO. It was the founding of People's Republic of China. It was the Soviet Union's first atomic bomb test. It was the formation of East and West Germany that year. There was a publication of George Orwell's 1984. There was the invention of the first practical computer, and I wonder, in the UK, and I wonder what that looked like exactly. It's probably huge. And then the last one, apartheid, was established in South Africa, instituting racial segregation. So overall, it was a pivotal year, shaping the post-war world and setting the stage for the Cold War. And there were many technological advances that would influence the remainder of the 20th century. Now, you say, okay, that's what was happening in the world. What was happening in the world of music in 1949? Well, you'll hear some today. That's the point of this. But here are the highlights of what was happening in the musical world. It was the birth of rhythm and blues, mixing jazz, blues, and boogie-woogie, and it laid the groundwork for rock and roll, really. It was also a year for the popularity of Frank Sinatra. Now, he had his real comeback in 1950, but he was very popular then. Bebop reached new heights with Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, and Thelonious Monk. And it was the birth of the long-playing records. So they went from 78s, I don't know how much music, you couldn't put much on that. But you could put 20 minutes of music on each side of the LP. And that was the first year for that. Hank Williams became a major country music star. That was the advent of doo-wop, rooted in gospel and rhythm and blues. And that was the big year for the success of the musical South Pacific, which you will hear some selections from today, by Oscar Hammerstein and Richard Rodgers. And the big Christmas hit of 1949 was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I think there was one other thing, the emerging role of DJs started to be the time where people would DJ. Okay. Well, anyhow, that's a little bit of the history, which is very ironic because history for me was my worst subject in college and high school. I think that's probably the only class that I got C's in, and here I am standing up in front talking about the history. But I want to focus on something that you may or may not have known, because you are going to benefit in many ways today. Why? Because listening to music does certain things to you. Here's what listening to music does. It triggers the release of 3 powerful chemicals. I'm going to sound like a research person. Dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Oxytocin, that's it. Yes. I actually Googled that to see what the pronunciation was, and I messed it up anyway. Listen what these hormones do for you as you listen to music. These hormones give a rush of pleasure. I'm sure we need that. Support reward and motivation, and help us to feel connected to others. And I was really interested because I've heard of dopamine and serotonin. Everybody knows about those. But oxytocin, what in the world? And I found that it's an important role in many human behaviors and social interactions. So you will be enhanced by every number that we sing by listening. Here's what those benefits will be. Increased arousal, increased recognition, increased trust, increased romantic attachment, and parent-infant bonding. So we're going to leave here quite transformed today. This country. Like the music or not. We'll have to stop it at some point because I'm sure it'll be too much for you. So anyhow, we are going to start with a hit that was 1949, introduced by Carol Channing, and later made very, very famous by Marilyn Monroe, from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And we're going to ask our Diamond Girls, Audrey and Piper, to come up for Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend.
The French are glad to die for love. They delight in fighting duels, but I prefer a man who lives and gives expensive jewels. A kiss on the head may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. A kiss may be grand, but it won't pay the rental on your humble flat, or help you at the automat. Men grow cold as girls grow old, and we all lose our charms in the end. But square cut or pear shaped, these rocks don't lose their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. There may come a time when a lass needs a lawyer, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. There may come a time when a hard-boiled employer thinks you're awful nice, but get that ice or else no dice. He's your guy when stocks are high, but beware when they start to descend. It's then that those louses go back to their spouses. Diamonds are a girl's best
Now our next election is going to be an old piano roll. Now, the time of piano rolls was actually much before this. I think it was very popular in the 20s, actually. But in 1949, this next election was made famous because it was reflecting on the old times where you could sit around the piano, watch the paper roll through the piano, and it caused the holes in the paper to play certain notes, and it's this vintage type thing, So they're remembering this. The word, actually, this was made popular by the Andrews Sisters and recorded and released in 1949. So this is what you would hear. And the words to this go, I want to hear it again, I want to hear it again, the old piano roll blues. We're sitting at an upright, my sweetie and me, pushing on the pedals, making sweet harmony. When we hear rinkety-tink and we hear plinkety-plink, we cuddle closer, it seems. And while we kiss, 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 kiss all our cares, the piano players playing razzmatazz. I want to hear it again, I want to hear it again, the old piano roll blues. Caleb Smith at the piano. And actually, Caleb is a viola player. He loves to play the piano as well. So our next selection is Baby It's Cold Outside, which was a popular song written in 1944. But it was popularized in 1949. And it was made popular. And, you know, there are so many musical numbers that come from films and used Broadway shows. But you would never know what, recognize the Broadway show or the film, but you recognize the name of the tune. So this came from Baby It's Cold Outside. Neptune's Daughter was the name of the film. Anybody ever hear that? Oh, yes, okay. While the lyrics don't mention Christmas, it became associated with Christmas. Now, the story is that Lesser wrote this for him and his wife to sing and party. And so they sang it at a party. And it was their way of saying, okay, it's time to go home. And so other people picked up on that. So they would get invitations to all these parties. And so when people wanted people to go home, they would just call on, come to the piano, baby, it's cold outside. So that was sort of the signal. Yeah, 1949, Baby It's Cold Outside. And this features Bella and Andrew. And Alyssa on the saxophone. And this song, I was so happy when I found this song from 1949. I had never heard this song, and I had never heard this song either. But it was a popular song. It was called A Little Bird Told Me. You know, we hear that expression, but this is the song behind it. And it was written by Harvey Oliver Brooks and was published in 47. But it became really famous by a recording by Evelyn Knight, which was released on Dicker Records. And it reached Billboard's bestseller chart in November 1948. But it lasted on the chart for 21 weeks, well into 1949. So if you were around at that time, you would have heard this song, A Little Bird Told Me. In 1949, the movie came out, Al Jolson Sings Again. Now, there had been a prior movie on his life, the Jolson story, but evidently he stopped singing. It had something to do with his wife. I don't know the exact things, that happens. But he had this big comeback, and this movie came out to introduce that comeback. Unfortunately, he died the next year, in 1950. So this is a medley of Al Jolson tunes. And this is Caleb again and Nathaniel.
took you because they were lonely. Now I'm lonely too, son. When the red brown comes, along. There'll be no more sobbing when he says that Robin is old. Sweet song, wake up, you sleepyhead. Get up out of bed. Cheer up the sun. Live, love, and be happy. What if now I'm walking through fields of flowers. Rain may glisten, but still I listen for hours and hours. I'm just a kid again, doing what a kid can, singing a song. When the red dawn comes,
Now, what's a concert without a good old-fashioned sing-along? I'm going to ask the group to come. I chose 3 songs, but first of all, I want to tell you why we're doing a sing-along. Earlier, I told you the benefits of listening to music, and they were many. You can plan on being transformed as you leave this place. But what about singing? What does singing do for you? It turns out there are benefits for singing. So let me just inform you about those benefits for singing. Singing increases cortisol. You know what cortisol is? That's a stress hormone. So we need a little bit of stress, so we sing. And research has also shown that singing can be good for you on many levels. It helps lower stress. It boosts your immunity. So all of you, after singing 1 song, your immunity level will go up, of course. 2 songs, you're going to be golden. 3 songs, forget those doctor visits. And it improves lung function, enhances your memory. I'm sure some of us could use a little bit of that in remembering names, me specifically. Improve mental health, we could use that, I think. And help you cope with physical and emotional pain, which, yes, we could use a little of that too. So one of the best things about singing is that you don't have to be good at it to reap any of those rewards. So our first song that we're singing is called Cruising Down the River. And it was a 1946 popular song, but it actually came into being because it was it won a songwriting contest. And 2 middle-aged women named Ellie Beadell and Nell Tollerton wrote this. And actually, the woman who wrote the music was blind. And somebody came along and sort of transcribed what she had written. And the thing about this is it has so many recordings. All of these recordings were in 1949. Blue Baron was released by MGM. Russ Morgan released it by Decca. Jack Smith released it with Capitol Records. And these are months, going through the year. Primo Scala and the Keynotes released it for London Records. And a recording by Frankie Carr was released by Columbia Records in April of 1949. So yes, you would have heard this song. Probably knew the words too. The second song is Red Roses for a Blue Lady, which was written in 1948. And the story goes that a man had this argument with his wife. And so, of course, he goes to the flower shop to bring red roses. And if she accepts him, he'll be back to the flower shop to get a beautiful orchid for her wedding. And then the third one was, as I mentioned before, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which was a big hit that year for Christmas holidays. And this was first introduced live on New York radio by the crooner Harry Brannon. And Gene Autry also recorded it. And it became the #1 Columbia release record in the pop music. Pop music has come a long way. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So those are the 3 that you will sing. And just remember the benefits after singing these 3 songs. It's going to be amazing. lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II, and a book by Josh Logan. This premiered in 1949 on Broadway and was an immediate hit, running for 1,925 performances. I think somebody was pretty tired after that. And the plot is based on a James Michener Pulitzer Prize-winning 1947 book called Tales of the South Pacific. Yes, what else can I say? It was a box office hit. I think musicals have songs that you remember, maybe one or two from a particular musical. But this particular musical, you remember every song. You know the words to every song. So the three songs we're doing are, I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair. The second one, Some Enchanted Evening. The third one, I know it's politically incorrect, but in 1949, it was a sailor song. There's nothing like a dame.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair.
Try to wash this man right out of your hair.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way. I'm gonna wave that man right out of my arms.
Gonna wave this man right out of her arms.
I'm gonna wave this man right out of my arms and send him on his way. Don't try to patch it up, tear it up.
Tear me up,
Wash him out, dry him out, push him out.
fly me out,
Cancel him
and
let him go, yeah, sister. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair.
just try to wash this man right out of your hair.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way. Don't try to patch it up, tear it up.
Tear me up,
Wash him out, dry him out, push him out.
fly me out,
Cancel him and let him go, yeah, sister. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair.
just try to wash this man right out of your hair.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way. Some enchanted evening,
You may see a stranger.
you may see a stranger across a crowded room, and somehow you know
together was crazy because I have to be teaching them piano. I can't be doing all this crazy music theater stuff with them. It gives up all their time for learning piano. So we were 10 minutes here at the end of class, 10 minutes there. Come here, come for this 5 minutes. So I'm so grateful. I'm a blessed man to be able to present something like this. And thanks to the Historical Society for sort of giving me, I'll say the opportunity to do something like this in celebration of the 75th anniversary. So thank you. Enjoy the quarters of the rush you got and all those benefits you got from listening and singing. And thank you.
I do hope you will all join us for cake and coffee. And we should know that the pastisserie donated the anniversary cake to us, so that was very, very